Welcome everybody, you're watching another episode of Know This. I'm coming to you again from Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, and I'm joined today by a couple folks in local city politics. So we have Ms. Erica Atwood, who's the Specialist of External Affairs and Community Engagement with the Mayor's Office here in Philadelphia, and also State Representative Tony Payton Jr., who's repping the 179th District in Northeast Philadelphia. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
There's a lot we can be talking about these days with politics because things are getting a little crazy out there. And so first, before we dive into what's going on here in Philly specifically, I did want to get your opinions on what you think is going down with the state of just Congress and the Obama administration, because there's a lot of lack of confidence, there's a lack of jobs, there seems to be a lack of clear direction, and folks are getting a little fed up. So I'm just curious how you've been perceiving what's going down.
From my perspective, there's two things. One, I think that from a presidential side, Obama could push a little harder. I also think that there is an unprecedented disrespect of the presidential seat that I don't think we've seen before from Congress, and it's something that's not really been addressed on any level. So until there's kind of some addressing of Congress respecting the seat that Obama holds, there's not going to be a lot that gets accomplished for anybody.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you bring that up, because I've been noticing the same thing. I'm wondering if you have some opinions on that as well.
Respect the office. I mean,
yes.
that's number one. And number two, I think that you know, the agenda of you know, we have a divided government, and the agenda of the Republicans is to not govern. It's really about, it's an election strategy based on next year. They don't care about the middle class. They don't care about working families. They don't care about poor people. It's a very narrow agenda focused on sort of getting rid of Obama in 2012 at all cost.
Yeah, ego.
At all cost.
You immediately want to say, especially speaking from our perspective, that it's about race. I think that has an underlying tone in it, but I think overall it's just that we have gone so fanatical in our differences as parties that we cannot find any negotiating middle ground. We've got the religious right and the ultra-liberal, and some way we've got to find somewhere to survive together, because we're not just going to break off the unions again. Like, so let's figure out how to truly govern together.
Well, both of you are very active around civic engagement in your communities. I mean, it's the main part of your post, and you obviously want to get people in your district involved with just being active in their communities. So what are some of the things you've been doing that have been working that you see in Philly?
And it's not just about voting, voter registration. It's really about getting folks reconnected to their community, which somehow we've lost. And so volunteerism is a huge part.
And do either of you have a specific story of somebody that you know that you've seen as a young person kind of make that switch and kind of have that click of like, okay, there's something to being active and sharing my voice? Yeah,
I mean, there's actually a little guy in my neighborhood. Well, not a little guy anymore. He's now in the 8th grade, but he was kind of a knucklehead a couple years ago, and I got him to come with me on one project in which we involve City Year, which does service all over the country, and in this case it's City Year Philadelphia. And next thing I know, the next activity, he's there and he's part of the youth corps. And the last couple of years, he's now sort of moved up in the ranks, and it's this intergenerational leadership that is amazing. And his name's Kyle, and he has gone from sort of the little knucklehead to like basically he's the role model for the younger kids now.
Okay. Would you recommend that path too for other young adults to kind of start early in office? Do you think that's something that we're needing right now in terms of looking at our Congress? I mean, for me, I'm just like, half of y'all need to experience what it's like to be unemployed so that you can maybe remember what it means to like be living like a member of your district, and maybe you'll actually work towards those goals. And I just feel like we need to age some folks out.
And I would also say, I mean, there's there's such a different perspective that we bring as the younger generation, and I say that our voices need to be heard now, often, and continuously.
So there's a lot of younger people who are engaged in politics. It's preparing them, like you look at Center for Progressive Leadership and for here, Young and Wild Philadelphia, organizations who are preparing young people to get to be civically engaged, educating them on what politics is, how to raise money, how to network, all those things. And I think I have conversations with kind of some of my cohorts and my peers who want to get engaged but don't have a clue about how legislation works, how to raise money. And it can be daunting, but they have these great ideas. So it's really important that if you want to be engaged, and this is something you want to do, that you really take the time to educate yourself and find organizations that suit you, that kind of are going to help you gain some momentum, as opposed to just being kind of a squeaky wheel.
We need to get some women's voices up in there too. We have some more names that we can dish out. So looking ahead to 2012, which I think is going to be a very interesting election year, what are your hopes for our nation, and also for how Philadelphia will also be playing a role?
I would say, I hope that we get out of this sort of race to the bottom mentality and really focus, first of all, we have to understand that we live in a global society. And, if we are ever going to be the great nation that we claim to be, we need to have close to 100% of our people working. And right now, that's just not a reality because of, bad decisions that we made in the past and, poor policy and planning on a number of levels. So I would say that, we start to think beyond and, figure out where the opportunities are for everybody. And Philadelphia, I think, will continue under the leadership of Mayor Michael Nutter, will continue to be a leader in the green space relative to energy. And also that, we are a center for arts and culture. And we will be probably we're on our way to being one of the greatest education cities in America.
Yeah, education I know is one of your big platforms and issues.
Eds and meds are kind of our kind of power base of industry here. When you talk about education, you talk about the 92 universities and colleges we have in a general area, and you talk about just the medical space and the teaching hospitals here. You have hospitals like the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, CHOP, St. Christopher's, UPenn, Jefferson, blah 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 blah. Like that's kind of where we hold space, and that is now turning into eds, meds, and technology here in Philadelphia. And so that's kind of where the opportunities are going to come for education, for training, for the unemployed and disenfranchised.
And so what's your hope then also for the nation in 2012?
I'd like for us to kind of meet in the middle somewhere. I'd really like, and it shouldn't take tragedies for us to get there.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to hit rock bottom to be like, oh, we should work together. Right. We should remember core values of just what it means to like live a decent life.
Right.
Yeah.
And hopefully we won't need another Katrina or 9/11 for us to really remember what it means to be an American.
Yeah. Your commitment to serve, for making politics look cool, and I hope that was the message that got conveyed here today. Young adults, we can be getting involved and making a difference with this, so your voice does matter. So if you didn't know about all this going on with local Philly politics and some young adult voices on what's happening in the nation, now you know. We'll see you next time.